Okay, yeah, you banged. I mean, change the channel noise. The program I could comment on before was on, but then you banged after I perceive like I was you're like right, got it, okay. So right, here's the environment. Right, there is good to mention like what she was what she was saying right about. Well, there were two things like about they did about expanding reproductive rights, like what it means, right, and that like right part of the like right, it was part of part of who you want to. She said, look, people with privilege, like, it's not, we don't worry about, like, going on the offense as far as, like, or not worry about it. It's not, there isn't, there, people with privilege, like, know they can get, they always be able to get abortions. So, like, when the issue is, like, state funded clinics and stuff like that, like, there's sort of a laziness on, like, the legislative action stuff to like try to expand reproductive rights because like privileged people feel like they can they sort of like know they'll always have access, but right, what it does is like it allows like people in the streets and stuff like should be, that's the kind of thing, right? Like you wouldn't like someone who's living in the street and like wants to terminate a pregnancy, right? Like I mean you don't want to, right. I mean that would be, that's like an urgent thing that you want to make sure that like that they have access to that. And so just if people who are like I can picture too people who are like like very perceive right, that no one I mean I don't know who like lobbies for it because it might be like the issue is just like maybe the kind of privileged people who like or like who's a lobbyist in Washington or whatever like doesn't they sort of think like oh it's always privileged people always be able to get access to an abortion, but no like but like no like girls living in the street and stuff like right, you get like I mean that's a situation where you want someone to be able to have access to getting an abortion, like bring a child into a situation like that, right? That's, and I don't know, right, and I don't know that anyone does lobby for that, like why that there's clinics that if you're living in the street you can you want to terminate a pregnancy, you could do that, like right. I bet there are no one who lobbies for that. Like because it's the kind of thing like certain they say like people who care for God, it's like right, like wealthy, like I don't know, yeah, does anyone lobby for that? Like I don't know, like I mean it may be the whole I don't know. Maybe we don't know. But also the issue of wanting to expand access in terms of who can provide abortion services. She said like right, expanding it to like where a nurse practitioner or like a doctor's assistant can can legally perform an abortion, because that would expand access in like rural areas and stuff, like places where there aren't like maybe there isn't a clinic or whatever, that like you can that just like right, there isn't an abortion clinic specifically, but there's a doctor's office or something where there's a nurse practitioner or so on and so forth, or someone that point, like about why you. But the other reason that's really interesting, I never thought of, like why expanding it so that like a nurse practitioner or a doctor's assistant or someone could perform it, because she said it would decrease the amount of violence like around like all the people who do bombings, like abortion clinics and like all that stuff. Like right, I mean if the service was available at places that weren't a target all the time because it's an abortion clinic, like right, if a doctor's assistant or something could perform one, that would cut down on that, like the issue of like if you're being abortion clinics are closing and stuff because there's like violence against people, or violence against the doctors who are like in an abortion clinic, right, and they're all like closing out of like fear or something. You slow the cameras down. Did I do something wrong? I don't know that I'm getting the point right, which you banged on that, but right, see, I thought you banged on the color, but also who lobbies for it, I think, is what you were banged on. Who lobbies for people, girls in the streets and stuff, to be able to get an abortion? Was that the keeping clinics open that you could walk in if you're on the street or something? Or are there clinics that do that? Yeah, there would, right? There have to be, but they're state funded. I mean, they're funded by the the state. I mean, right, and that's the thing she said, like, right, about this, like, states' rights things and everything, like, right, like, I mean, people, that's cool, but, like, the bread, and when it comes to things like that, like, a girl living in the streets being able to terminate a pregnancy, like, right, I mean, it doesn't, like, she said it shouldn't matter what your zip code is, like, you should be able to get those services, right, at that point, it's not, like, an issue of, like, the people in the, like, the state or whatever, like, right, no, like, a girl living in the street, like, streets anywhere, like, needs to terminate a pregnancy, and that's who that is really gets in that situation. Like, girls have no money, like we're prostitutes and stuff like that, right? I mean, you wanna, right? And I don't know that anyone lobbies for that. Did I get it right here? I don't know. I don't know. I see you bang, and something like topic. Like, I don't know if I got it right. I don't know if I wish I understood better. Maybe I don't know.